Okay, so it's been a minute. So what you may have noticed is that I have changed the name. Oops, changed the name of the channel from KevDub Data to KevDub Codes. There's a couple reasons for this. Mainly that I'm going in a different direction with this channel and with my life, actually. So I'm not pursuing doing the data side of things at this moment. So I'm putting that on the shelf. Yeah, and also that yeah. So I'm not pursuing data-related roles. And I know that I'm going to lose some of you, but that's okay. I think that you should still travel on your own journey, and I think the steps that I had I planned are still good steps, and that is to learn how to use data in project to and just like work on projects. And the second part is to talk to recruiters and to network that way. That's the way that I think you're gonna get a job in this terrible market. And making those human connections is gonna be huge. I still want to focus on doing that human connection thing, but from a different angle now. I've always thought that I'm just not finding the I'm not finding what I need. And like it's not aligned with my principles to go searching for a lot of data jobs. And like the book that we were left off with the well-grounded data analyst, it's a good book, and it highlights a lot of good mindset, a good mindset to have in approaching data problems. But that said, it's still a business-centered book. It's not a people-centered book. It's how do I do something for the business and make money for the business. And that's not who I really am. I care much more about people than I do about companies. And so I'm trying to realign myself, my activities to those goals. So the name change, moving from data to codes, also makes a lot of sense with the kind of KevDub verb pattern that I've been trying to establish with my other channels. I do KevDub solves, and then I'll do like KevDub solves, and then the title of the video will be what I solve. And then I kind of want to be in keeping with that, and I don't really go by YouTube or Twitch's algorithms for I don't let those things guide me in making the titles and the thumbnails and stuff, because that's just chasing trends, and like those things could change. So just want to make the things that I want to make, and trying to satisfy an algorithm is not going to be as fulfilling to me. Um, so yeah, I don't want to focus much on analysis right now. So like perhaps in the future, I might create another channel, or I might also just like use um, my existing channel to like have another section where it's going to be, you know, KevDub analyzes or KevDub um, engineers or something like that, data engineers. If I end up going in that route again. Sure. But for now, I'm focusing on learning how to contribute to open source software with and working on personal projects and tutorials. So today I'm going to be going over a real Python tutorial for how can you structure your Python script. So I feel like that's a good entry point back into this. I have not touched a lot of coding in the past little bit here. So I want to get back into that. So I'm actually on that front. I'm probably thinking that I'm going to be doing Tuesday. I don't know what's a good day. I do have some silly, like I do a Throwback Thursday thing. So I have a thing with naming. Do a Throwback Thursday on Twitch where I play a retro point and click adventure game. And right now I'm doing the Monkey Island series. It's still in the first one, but almost halfway through that one. So I'm thinking of like, what's a good day for a coding day, but I can't really think of something. So it's like Python Tuesdays or Coding Tuesdays, or what sounds the best. But I think Tuesdays is the day that I'm gonna go and do this for the foreseeable future. Yeah. And so I'd also just like to take a moment to talk about something here. So I'm going to turn the music off for the moment. I think that should be good. And I'm actually going to turn the ticker off just so I can get this message, record it. Because I've been like putting this off, this update to the channel for a while. And I'd like to add to my comments from earlier. Yeah, so there we go. So I want to say that I had initially planned on recording a video titled "I Failed," and speaking about YouTube titles, that would probably be a pretty good one. You know, to try to like entice people into watching it, but it's just like, I don't know, it just feels weird. And I also would like to, like, I wanted to say like I failed, but here's the thing about failure. It isn't real, right? And I'm thinking back to many quotes from I've seen on the topic, and you know, I think it's important to frame failure as a positive step forwards. You know, a positive step towards something better, rather than a negative reflection of your own self worth. You know, And so with that in mind, like, did I succeed in completing my challenges and my goals? Well, no, and since I didn't complete them, but in that time, I improved my understanding of how to structure my notes in Obsidian, and I learned some of the new and powerful libraries uh, to do data analysis in Python, um, polars, uh, the one that I didn't touch on, but I did take a look off on offline was Marimo, using that as the notebook. Uh, I really want to look into doing that. Um, brushing up on Seaborn and the options there, and with some of the scikit-learn libraries for regression and doing uh, doing forecasting. Um, so failure isn't real, like, right? Like, I didn't fail. I took a shot at something at a time where I thought that's where I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. But I'm changing that focus now. And so it's not a failure, it's a shifting of the focus, right? And I think that's important. Um, and I think that's something you should take with you, in that, like, if you ever find yourself at a point where you don't want to do something anymore, or that there's something else that you find that you want to do, um, don't consider what you were doing to be a failure. Um, it's just a refocusing. So I've said also that I know I'm going to lose some uh, subscribers that were here only for the for the data part of that. I still might do some data stuff in the future, so but it's not going to be the main focus. So I know I'm going to lose some of you, and that's fine. Um, for those people, I want to say that you can still do this, though. Don't let uh, my change in direction negatively affect your journey. Um, if you can find the time to do this, I still think the 3 phases that I outlined are a solid plan to get hired in spite of the shitty job market, that we seem to face, right, for the foreseeable future. So you can still do it. So, um, yeah. So with that said, let me get started on today's focus, which is going to be how can you structure your Python script, and let's go over to there. Okay. So what I'm going to do, there we go. First up, what I'm going to end up doing is to take a note of this script here. We'll add that to Obsidian. And from there, what I'm going to do, it's been a while, so it might be a little clunky to get started. Leaving this here. So I'm not entirely sure how I want to organize this. In fact, I'll just leave this here for the time being. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up a terminal. There we go. And what we'll do is to create a project. folder for this. So what I want to do is to do what am I want to call this? Let's do directory for Python. Um, for Actually, I can just do a self-contained thing. I think that's what I want to do. Um, let's call this structuring Python scripts. And you know what? Let's do the RP lead in there. We'll create that one and we'll go right into that. And nothing in there. So what I want to use actually is to use UV. And so before I even do any of that, any of this stuff, let me see if they're, I'm going to actually take a look ahead. Let's see how they're doing this. There might not need to be I might not have a need to use third-party libraries or anything. I might just be able to use the standard library from Python. And let's hope that that's the case. I think that everything looks like that. Actually, I can do a search for like import URL lib. I think that's standard library. UCIML repo. That might be one. Yeah, so we will need a venv. Okay, so what I'm going to do is utilize the new pretty much the standard now, the recommended method for interacting with virtual environments is to use UV. And let me try to see the help here for UV. I can't remember all of the commands. Basically, you can add dependencies rather than doing install. You add dependencies to the project, and you can create a new project. So that's what I want to do right here, is to initialize a new project. And it's gonna come up with a bunch of stuff that I'm not gonna need for this, because it's just it's like preparing your project for publishing on PyPI or some other package repo. So there's nothing in the README. If I look at the PyProject TOML, it has a project section with the name, a version, a description, or the name of the file README, and which Python version, and then there's going to be a list of dependencies. And I think that when you add something, that's going to add that list of dependencies. When you add a like you install another library. Version, I'm not going to get into versioning. Dependency tree, you can look at that. You can look at Python versions and that. So you can manage different versions of Python within your same project, and that's pretty handy. It's pretty fun to do that. So, okay, here's what I want to do. Transitioning from interactive environments. Okay. So we have the project, and so there's also a hello.py, which is just like the main function. So we can actually run that. So if we do UV run, I think it's run. I'm not, so be good. Run a command or a script. So if you just do UV run and then you use hello.py, it builds a virtual environment from that dependency list from the TOML of that. So you don't get a requirements.txt, but I think you can do this by doing uv run pip freeze, and then I can put that to the requirements. Yeah. Um, so it's actually not run pip, it's uv pip. But I should be able to see a requirements text there. There it is. And then that's how you can get a requirements text. I think you can just do this with uv pip freeze. And then I don't want to end it. I just want to create it. And then so I can do the same thing. Oh, interesting. Okay. uv pip freeze. I guess because it wasn't writing it out, it added another. Oh no, interesting. So it was uv run pip freeze. Okay. Let's see, bit rate's low. Should be okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in here already. Um, in that virtual environment. Um, I actually think that this is pulling from. I don't. Yeah, this isn't pulling from that because it's got PuzzPy. I don't think it's pulling from. Yeah, I don't think it's from there. So you can do the same. There's a uv.lock now file. Requires Python that. Probably get into this. I want to learn more about this. I'm not sure what the. Maybe I should do a thing on UV as well. That would be nice. Corey Schaefer did one recently that I haven't gotten a chance to take a look at, which would probably be good for me to go over. But let's see. What other help do we have here? It's cache. Yeah, so building that. So I think what I was doing when I did that pip freeze, that's the pip that is installed on my computer for the Python version. So if I do Python run the Python module pip freeze, well, I could do this. I could do uv. Well, which Python is, yeah, it's in program files. So if I do uv which Python, does that even work? No, I don't think so. You can't use which. Can do which uv. That's there. uv run. I think. Wait a minute. So I need to actually. Yeah, there is the venv, so I can actually source the venv. Okay, from here. So then from here. Yeah, so it's a little weird in order to get that requirements.txt. So if I do actually no, I think it was. I think I can just do uv pip requirements because there shouldn't be any right now. That's right. Okay, so that's probably what I want to do. I don't another option would be to go and source the venv and then do, I could do with Python. Then there's no Python. No, there's Python. Python, no. Okay, so yeah, and then that is the one that's in, yeah, that's the version of Python inside of the virtual environment. So which pip should be the same thing? Oh no, it's not. Pip is in a different thing, which is why. Okay, so then if we do uh Python module pip freeze requirements .txt. Oh, there's no module names. Pip. Interesting. There's no pip actually in the virtual environment. It doesn't even install it because, okay, that kind of makes sense because you don't need it because UV is handling that. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. So I'm going to deactivate the venv. You don't need it. UV will spin up the venv for you when you need to run your script. And so let's take a look at what we have. So I'm going to actually UV pip freeze requirements .txt, and it should be empty, and it is. Okay, there we go. All right. So now when you run the file, so if we do UV run hello.py, hello from RP structuring Python script. So that's the hello.py script there. And so I'm going to be doing some scripts here for this. Okay, so let's get started with this part. And for here, I don't know if I'm going to bring up VS Code for this because we're just doing scripts. You know what? I probably will. I was going to think about doing Nano or something, but I think I do want some code completion and stuff. It might slow me down a little bit. And I do only want to spend a couple hours on this. I don't want to spend all day on this. I don't think this is going to be a very long thing. So we got setting the stage for scripting. You have using the shebang line, which I don't know what that is referring to, actually. Organizing the import statement. So I'm not going to take any notes, but this is something that I should probably be taking notes on. Maybe I'll do it after the fact. When I, rewatch this, I'll just rewatch it later. Let's see, organizing import statements, creating the initial script, adding structure with constants and entry points. Okay, good to know. Managing dependencies with PEP 723. Don't know what PEP that's referring to. Handling command line arguments. I do vaguely know how to do that. I'd have to, look up syntax for that. But basically, you can, collect the arguments and then, I'm gonna have to review that though. Using appropriate data structures for scripts. Using enum for constants and options, using data class for flexible records. The data class is not something that I have really utilized. So that's good to see. I mean, you should probably utilize it more. I don't know. Considering other structures for these data structures and improving script feedback, adding internal checks with assert, enhancing output with rich. Okay, so that's interesting because I think rich is like the text, the terminal like zhuzhifier. It's zhuzhes up your output text, so you can give you can use colors. I think you can use emoji and stuff like that. I'll see what they have to say about that. So following Python scripts, structure recommendations, Putting it all together, the conclusions, some frequently asked questions. Okay. So let's get started. You may have begun your Python journey interactively, exploring ideas within Jupyter Notebooks or through the Python REPL. While that's great for quick experimentation and immediate feedback, you'll likely find yourself saving code into .py files. However, as your code base grows, your Python script structure efficiency becomes increasingly important. Transitioning from interactive environments to structured scripts helps promote readability, enabling better collaboration and more robust development practices. This tutorial transforms messy scripts into well-organized shareable code. Along the way, you'll learn standard Python practices and tools. These techniques bridge the gap between quick scripting and disciplined software development. So that's good, because like I know how to make some quick scripts, and the scripts that I have made that I use like every day are I don't want to look at them again. They're not pretty, and they're pretty they're difficult to work with in the sense that like it takes me a good hour or at least like 20 minutes to read through and then understand what was my idea here, what am I thinking for this, and then like so to make like small changes to it is not easy if I haven't touched it in a while. Actually, I guess it's like that's kind of expected for larger things, but for like I'm talking about like 1 to 2 to 3 file scripts, and yeah, this will help me a lot, I think. You organize your Python scripts logically with functions, constants, and appropriate import practices. I think constants are one thing that I don't really have a mastery over, in the sense of like the file or the variable naming. I'm kind of like I don't know when to use all caps and when to not. So that'll be helpful. Efficiently manage your script state using data structures such as enumerations and data classes. Two things that I don't really utilize a lot. So really should like make that a practice, I guess. So these are good things. These are actually good things to note. And so like I should add like a stream marker or something for myself. There we go. There we go. And that's where I'll note that these things are important for me to go and incorporate into my actual practice of creating scripts, and just coding in general, and just coding in Python, because these like I have some like I've been kind of like dabbling with Python for a long time, creating small projects and stuff, and using it for data analysis, using those notebooks, and using stuff there, and then and doing a little bit of object-oriented programming. But I never really felt comfortable with the object-oriented organization of projects and stuff. So I don't like. I guess that just comes with experience, but I just feel like I haven't had that experience with working with well-structured Python code, or like a repo that is well-structured. So I'm like, this might help me really bridge that gap And so enhance interactivity through command line arguments, improve robustness with structured feedback using logging libraries. So actually, I think um, I'm gonna cheat, and I'm gonna well, I'm not, it's not cheating. I'm gonna go against what I was gonna saying before. Um, Python best practices, I think, is what I want to kind of keep this. This is going to keep sense. Python programming language. I want to take a note. I want to take a couple notes. So best practices, or actually like Python skills. Python skills that I've worked on. So things I can do. Organize scripts logically with functions, constants, and I probably want to flesh that out. Import practices. Probably want to flesh this out later, but it's hard to see that it's highlighted. Fix that. Manage script state using data structures. Let's say using enumerations, and then I'll just data classes being a separate thing, and so we also want to enhance interactivity. Yeah, I like that. Command line arguments. And then we want to improve improve robustness. So give provide is a better word for give structured feedback. Using logging and libraries like Rich, I think like text modification, use the text, yeah, or like implement the text modification library Rich in a project, right? And then we want to create self-contained shareable scripts. So you want to handle dependencies according to PEP 723 and create self-contained shareable scripts. Interesting. Okay, so these are the skills that I'll be working on, right? I want to take those off. Those are things that's good to know. So without further ado, let's time to start working through concrete. Okay, we also have a quiz that we probably want to do. Oh, there's sample code, but I don't think we need that. they usually build from the ground up, and I don't think that we're going to need any data to download. That would be the main thing that we would need to download. So we're going to interact with a web server to obtain and manipulate a machine learning data set. That's interesting. Okay. All right, so setting the stage for scripting. I'm adding a stream marker there. Okay, throughout this tutorial, you'll apply the structuring concepts by building a Python script step by step. The goal of this script will be to work with the well-known iris dataset, a classic dataset in machine learning containing measurements for 3 species of iris flowers. So our script is going to be called Iris Summary, and we'll evolve it through several stages demonstrating different structural improvements. So these stages are set up the initial script, begin with a functional script using standard language features, apply a foundational structure using named constants for clarity, and the entry point guard to separate executable code from importable definitions. I got to reread that. So, I mean, the first thing that I can just do right off the bat is that we can make a file, right? We can touch iris summary.py and we create that. And so we can take a look at it, everything we have in the folder here. That's interesting. I didn't even know that we have Python version listed on there. I wonder if that changes based on yeah, based on what you do with the project TOML or managing Python. Interesting, from the UV. All right, so back here. So first, we're going to set up the initial script. I guess I don't need to know everything, but this is going to make sense as I go along. Begin with a functional script using standard language features, and we're going to apply a foundational structure using named constants for clarity, and then the entry point guard to separate executable code from importable definitions. I think entry point guard is that if the namespace is or like the name, yeah, if name is equal to the main under main, then do the executable code. I think that's what that's referring to, but let me test that by as I go along. I always like to think about like what I know and like how like prep my mind to be like, okay, so this is what I think that means, and then when I'm confronted with the I either confirm that or I have to like re-update my understanding basically. I feel like that's a good way to go about active learning. Let's see. So integrate external libraries and dependencies. We can incorporate third-party libraries when needed to leverage specialized functionality or simplify complex tasks. Okay. And we can declare and manage script dependencies within the file. So we incorporate third-party libraries when needed in order to leverage specialized functionality or to simplify complex tasks. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the Pythonic way. I mean, and then it's just like good coding in general. I mean, there are like there is something to say that like if you're trying to import a lot of things, or if you're only importing one specific thing from a library, think about like whether or not you need to import that entire library, or if you need to import that library, because you have to think about how it might change in the future, and you can build your own code for that. Um, if it optimizes, right? So if it optimizes your dependencies and stuff. Declare and manage script dependencies within the file using standards like PEP 723 for better reproducibility. I'm going to bring that up on the side, and that'll come up throughout here. So 3 is going to be handling command line arguments. So what is this? So these are like, okay, this is basically a just reiteration of the goals of the of this tutorial. So you can add command line arguments using helper libraries to make the script interactive and configurable. Define a clear main function to encapsulate the core script logic triggered by the command line interface CLI. You can structure internal data, improve how data is represented by selecting appropriate data structures, move beyond basic types and use constructs like enum for fixed choices or data class and name tuple for structured records. It'll be interesting to utilize those. I don't, as I said, I don't really have a good handle on those. Enhance feedback and robustness. Refine how the script communicates its progress and results. Implement structured logging instead of relying solely on print. Use assert statements for internal consistency checks during development. And improve the terminal output presentation, potentially using libraries designed for richer interface like Rich. Okay. All right, so by following these steps, you'll see how structure transforms a basic script into something more robust, readable, and shareable. Each new concept will be introduced and immediately applied to the evolving Iris script. Before diving into the specifics of script structure, it's important to understand some foundational elements that make your Python scripts executable and well organized. So the shebang line. That's what it's called. Okay, so I have used it before. I just didn't know that there's a name to it, basically. I'm going to actually bring up code right here. And as we work on this here, yeah, I guess I can keep it over there. That's fine for now. The thing is with code, I think if you use the, yeah, I trust the authors. With VS Code, I might have to change some of the settings because I don't think that I need to have the, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I don't need to have the virtual environment enabled when I go into here. It is nice, but it kind of just runs against the I don't want to say the ethos or the mode of operation for UV. Yeah, so I don't know why we launched the contribute to its environment Git. Finish. I can relaunch the terminal. It's fine. I don't know what that was about. I guess I can just go and like deactivate. I guess I don't really need to have it on. And I'm not going to do it right now, but I think I might have to think about disabling that feature Otherwise, it might just run from the command line here. I don't know why it's... Oh, because it wasn't... There we go. Yeah. Close this by going... There it goes. Yeah. All right. So... Yeah. Execute. So you can make your Python script directly executable from the command line. Instead of always typing Python or so. So that's what that does. I did not know. I didn't know that's how that's what that did. You want to make the file executable with change mod plus X iris summary and adding a shebang line. I don't know if that's a thing I can do. Why is it plus X? What does that do for change mod? They don't really talk about that, expand on that. So eventually I'd like to learn more about Linux admin stuff and that, but I'm just gonna try to stay on task here. So we want to do change mod plus X of iris summary, and then I'm gonna open up iris summary in code and use the shebang line here. And this is Python 3. I don't know if I need to say Python 3 because I think because I don't have, so I don't have Python 3. So I don't know if that's going to work. So if I try to run this by doing Python's not found. Right, run without arguments to install. Right, because Python 3 is not found. So I think that I have to actually do it like that. Let's say Python. And then it'll run. Okay. Yeah, just a quirk of Windows here. I really should just like full on embrace Linux and convert this computer to an Ubuntu distribution, like a Linux Mint. I really liked. I like the setup of that, and I use that on my server. But yeah. Oh gosh, that's an end of the year goal, I think. Yeah, that would be a pretty good thing to do at the end of the year. Small addition signals that your file is intended to be run as a standalone script. Okay. Interesting. I never really utilized that. I've seen it on things, but I never realized that that's what that does. And there's a dedicated tutorial executing Python scripts with a shebang provides a comprehensive look at how the shebang works and why user bin env is used, how to handle arguments, and how to account for platform differences. So that's the it's from this year, in the beginning of this year. It's good. This is kind of another thing that I like about LibreWolf as a browser is that when you open up a new window, you don't have to be stuck with the same zoom. So I can zoom separately on separate things, on separate websites from the same domain. Whereas in Python or in Chrome, you got to you're stuck with it, right? So Yeah, that's an interesting one. So let me see. Let's get back to task. Inline script data. Hopefully they talk about that. We are very far away. uh, really want to get this done today. And I'm already an hour in. Let's see. Now that you know how to tell the operating system how to run your script, you can focus on organizing the code within the script, starting with imports. Importing the import statement. So as your script starts interacting with more modules, the import statements at the top of your file become important for clarity and code quality. The official style guide of Python, PEP 8, recommends specific conventions for ordering input ports, which significantly improves readability. So it's usually like, if I remember correctly, you do standard library has to be up top. You separate that block with space or a blank line, and then you have your third-party libraries, and then after that, you have your local libraries separated, by a line break. Um, this is PEP 8 code. I don't know if I did this. I don't know if I did that one. I should do that. Did they update this one for New Year? Yeah, they did. Okay, let's oopsie. There we go. So the style guide recommends that following these conventions is standard practice, and there are modern tools like Rough to enforce these conventions. Yes, right. I want to use Rough as well. Um, I don't know. I need to like start thinking about what I want to do with that. um, so the recommended grouping is standard library imports, third-party imports, and local imports. Oh, I had it. Modules included with Python like pathlib are standard library. Third-party imports are libraries you've installed with pip, like requests, because we're going to use requests in this, I think. Local modules, either application files or libraries, such as when importing another Py file you wrote. Oh god, now just pinched my hand. Libraries you've installed, local modules. Yes, okay. That's one thing I'm not an expert with either, is doing local imports from another file. Oh gosh, it's so weird in Python. Good scripting practice for sharing code is to avoid local or library-specific imports and to ensure that only cross-platform third-party packages are used. Yeah, avoid local or library-specific imports. Yes. I guess for scripting purposes, this is true because you're not trying to optimize anything here. When you have, yeah, you're not trying to optimize for space, basically, for file size and that stuff. Note that for simple standalone scripts intended for easy sharing, for example, as a GitHub gist, minimizing dependencies is often a goal. Do they have? Yeah, I don't do those things a lot. This might mean sticking primarily to the standard library and avoiding local imports if possible. So I think that's a good practice, is to always just stick to the standard library as much as you can. As script grows, using third-party libraries or local helper modules often becomes necessary and beneficial. Managing these dependencies properly using PEP 723, as you'll see later, is essential. This advice on minimizing dependencies is less applicable when you're building a command line interface front end for a existing complex local library. Yeah. Okay, so a complex local library, you don't need to really think about doing that. Minimizing dependencies. Okay, so we're going to create the initial script. And so what I'm going to do, I think, yeah, I'm going to just shift it over here. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to move the terminal over there. We're not going to focus so much on that. Only for running things. And we have that. What we want to do is put a space, and we're going to import URL lib request. And that's interesting that I don't know what URL lib3 is. It's a thread safe connection pooling, file post support, user friendly, and more. This might be the new library. That might be a new library for the the GIL-less version of Python, which I think they're still ironing out with 3.14, I believe. I gotta learn more about the global interpreter lock as well. URL retrieve. And we want to go from this website on an archive icsuci.edu static public 53 iris.zip. Interesting. Iris.zip. And then we're going to print some feedback about what just happened there. And so what I'll do is I'll go over to my terminal and I'll say what we want to do is do uv iris summary.py. So we can do this two ways. Actually, I can just do it like this. Doing it like this is going to run it with the local Python, the Python that's installed on my machine. I think. And then if I do uv run iris summary, it'll say downloaded iris.zip. And so do we have that downloaded there then? Yes, iris.zip is there. It's in our folder there. So we don't want to retrieve it every single time. We probably want to check whether or not it exists or not. So I think we're going to use some pathlib or something like that to check whether it exists. If you save this code as iris summary, run it, it'll download the file, right? Hard coding the URL and file name also makes the script inflexible. You can address these issues and improve the execution flow by introducing functions and constants. Right. Adding structure with constants and entry points. So your minimal script now downloads the data, but it uses hard-coded strings for the URL and file name, and the download code runs immediately upon execution or import. You can improve on this by defining constants and establishing a proper script entry point. Okay. So you're basically gonna, you know what, I kind of want to do a GitHub thing. Use a Git thing and do a version. No, not today. In the future, you know, I'd like to go through the tutorial like step by step and show every step of the way. how it is changing. So we're going to do iris data URL. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up. And I'm going to set that equal to that one. And then from here, what we're going to use is the iris data URL. And then I'm going to say local zip file name. Put that up there. Local zip file name. I'll save that there. Okay. Python doesn't prevent you from changing these variables. The naming signals the intent that they should remain fixed throughout the script's execution. Okay, it's just nice. Okay. That this makes for better reusability, I think, too, because you have these variables, you can easily refactor it. And converting it into a function and stuff is like really easy then too. And so you also want to do local zip file name. I don't know why the code completion's not working there. And oh, because yes, there was a mistake there. It was not an F string. Wasn't a format string. And now there's like new strings that I need to familiarize myself with in Python. Let's see, this change makes the script more readable and maintainable. If the URL changes, then you only need to edit line 5. And then, however, the execution flow is still not ideal. The URL retrieve call happens as soon as Python reads the file, whether you're running it directly with Python iris summary or importing it using import iris summary. To control this, you need a main execution block. So that's what it's called. It's a main execution block. And it's a very standard Pythonic way to define code that should run only when the file is executed as a script and not when it's imported. You use a conditional block, right? So let's see. If main equals main, then you run that code, right? So what we're going to do is create a function called main, find main, and we're going to describe what this function does in the doc string, the document string there. And we're basically just going to move all of our code inside this function and just tab in. Give it a good tappy to like that, and then I can just run main that there. Docstring's good. You can also introduce a function of docstring. So the main function is used to by convention as an entry point to your script. So remember when I said that you'd like to think about what my understanding of something is, and then either confirm or update my understanding. This confirms that. So that's just what I was thinking, is that this is a main execution block. Is used as an entry point to the script. Whereas before, the entry point was just running sequentially, line by line through the script. So now we have used encapsulation by defining a main function, which then doesn't get run until it goes into unless it's run as the main file, as a standalone file then. So if it's imported, then it won't run. So scripts should never rely on default execution order and instead provide an explicit entry point using name. That's a good thing to know. This pattern is fundamental for creating reusable and well-behaved Python modules and scripts. It cleanly separates the code defining what the script can do, like functions, classes, from the specific actions it should perform when run directly. So I'm going to take a quick break and I'm going to stretch out a little bit, get some water, and I will be back in just a few minutes here. Okay. So let's get started with managing dependencies with PEP 723. I don't know why the music is going, honestly. Shouldn't be on. Hang on one second. And actually just turn the music off. You know what? Oh, I know why. Okay. Alright, I will have the music on. I think it's nice. Nice to have some background music. The only thing I just need to do is yeah, need to add some ducking. Oh, I do have it on there. Okay. Well, never mind then. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Okay, we're gonna manage dependencies with PEP 723. What is PEP 723? Who effing knows what that is? Let's see. The current script uses URL lib.request from the standard library to download the data. While this works, it only fetches the zip file. You'll still need to add code to unzip and parse the data file or files. So often, specialized third-party libraries can simplify common tasks. For interacting with the UCI machine learning repository, the maintainers provide a dedicated library called UCI ML repo. This library handles the details of fetching and loading data sets, providing the data in a more structured format. Using it is generally preferable to manual downloading for UCI datasets. All right, so this is very specific to this, this source. So let me find. So this is the Python way, or the pip install way to do this. I'm going to use UV to do this. And what you do here is UV add UCI ML repo. So let's first take a look at requirements, or the Pi project. .toml. There's no dependencies listed there. Now let's go and add UCI ML repo. And UV is going to go and grab that package, install the dependencies of the package, which apparently includes pandas and NumPy, and it's going to go through and download those things, which is going slower than I would hope. I think I might be having some speed issues with my internet again. It's what I've been dealing with here is slow download speeds from Cox Internet here. Let's see. Yeah, it's not great, is it? We're not getting the best here. Okay, so it goes and it installs all those things. Yeah. So weird. I have very good upload speed, but then the download speed is not great. I wonder if there's something wrong with my router. I wonder what it could be, though. Yeah. Ah, boy. I don't know. I have to troubleshoot that later. Okay, so now when we take a look at that Pi project, TOML, that it shows the UCI ML repo version number at least 0.0.7 as a dependency. So when it creates the virtual environment, it's going to use that. Now that's kind of cool because it shows you the top level dependency there. But if we want to take a look at the tree, you have the UCI ML repo, which depends on certify, and then also depends on pandas. Pandas depends on NumPy, and pandas also depends on Python date util, which depends on 6. And so, like, you get a nice little dependency tree, and that's something I haven't seen with anything else I've used. I haven't really used poetry. I think this might be like a poetry thing. Never really used that. Really like UV though. It's so good. UV, of course, like it's owned by Astral, so it's not open source. Well, I think it is. I think it is open source. I'm not sure though. Let's take a look at the help again. UV help. Yeah, so if I run iris summary.py. Ooh, interesting. We get an error. Hey. What? Expected string. Or bytes. What? That is weird. Do we have to have the... It might have just been that. I'm not sure. Do you need to have the... No, it's not that. Oh, I see. It's a tuple because I didn't... Aha! 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 It was a tuple. It was not a string. You do this, and it's a tuple. There we go. That's it. Downloaded. There we go. Okay, so that's that one. So it didn't, UV run, it didn't actually, I could have just run hello. Yeah. So when it adds when you do UV add, it adds that to the vem on its own, I think. Okay, so now our script can be refactored using the UCI ML repo. Everything we just did, we're gonna change. Iris dataset ID is gonna be 53. Now, instead of request, what we're gonna do is UCI ML repo import fetch UCI repo. I don't know why it's not showing up though. Is that just because it's not used? I think it might just not. Okay, so now we're just gonna get rid of this stuff. And fetch the iris dataset and show a variable summary. Variable summary. So we're not using this thing now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a print statement fetching iris dataset using UCIML repo. And then what we do, we say iris fetch UCI repo. We do ID is the iris dataset ID. Printing the dataset fetch successfully variable summary, and then print iris dot variables, and now we don't have to do all of this other stuff. Just changing that main method, and we come back over. Actually, we can do it here. Let's just UV run iris summary. It's taking a long time on here, and it shouldn't. I think because what is this error? Okay, we can relaunch. Deactivate. Fetching it, and then there. It shouldn't take that long, honestly. Oh, I guess it did take a second. Never mind then. I guess it was loading. Yeah, I don't know why it took so long. So weird. Must be loading the virtual environment. Yeah. It's running it from the virtual environment. It's probably not bad. So fetch UCI repo function in line 10 handles both retrieval and loading of the dataset using the dataset ID. Defined as a constant in line 5 with the main function suitably modified, you can now present a summary of the data. You saw that there. I'm less interested in the data stuff here. Whew. How does someone else running your script know they need to install UCIML repo? How do you specify the correct version? This is where product dependency management for scripts becomes important. While full Python projects use files like pyproject.toml, scripts need to be more self-contained. A standard for declaring dependencies directly within a script, usually especially formatted comments, is defined in PEP 723, which introduces inline script metadata for single file scripts. Okay, that is interesting. Okay. All right, fun. Okay, so how do you get all of that stuff, though? A tool that understands PEP 723 can read these comments and automatically create an environment With the specified dependencies to run the script, first you'll need to check which library version is installed in your environment. Interesting. So you're using UV, but apparently like I don't need to do that with a script. What we can do is to, let's see which Python we have, and we can source the then scripts activate. Now what we can do is Python pip. You know, I think we can actually do this from here. UV pip show UCI ML repo. There we go. Required by that there. Okay, so that gives us some indication there, but it's saying the location, where it is there in that site packages, and where it's there. Okay, so now what I can do, because they weren't using a virtual environment before, I don't think, were they? Maybe they were. There's a difference here. Right, there's no module named pip with this event. This might not work actually. Package not found. Yeah. So the pip that's with UV is the one that's showing there. Okay, so the main things that are important is the UCI ML repo and the version. And so inside of here, script requires Python, and then you can do, we'll say 3.13 because that's what we're on, and dependencies. UCIML repo, and this is the same versioning there. Interesting. So the highlighted block informs PEP 723 aware tools of the script requirements, including external dependencies. To resolve the dependencies, the Python interpreter alone is no longer sufficient. A PEP 723 aware tool like pipx or UV is needed to set up a temporary virtual environment with the right dependencies for execution. As a fast and popular Rust-based Python installer and resolver, UV is a great choice. And you can install it with this command. So I already have it installed, but you can do it from PowerShell. Installed from Astral. Bypass the execution policy. Before you can see the utility of this, you'll need to deactivate the existing virtual environment and removing it for good measure. We don't need to do any of this. Now your script with its dependencies can be shared and reproduced for execution. So, I mean, for good measure, we could just do that. Let's see, and you know what, for good measure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy Iris summary. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it one level above in my projects folder. And I'm just going to go put it up there. So if I go up one level and I'm in here, so if I do here, if I do UV run Iris summary. Alright, there's no TOML here. The TOML parse error at line 3. Invalid array expected. Oh, you know why? Because I didn't do the quotes. Yeah, that's why. Quotes. There it goes. Now, let me go back and copy RP here. Make sure that I have the right one. Yeah, and that's it. So now if I do UV, it builds that from, oh wow, okay, that's great. So I didn't need to create a project. I didn't need to do UV init. I just needed to put the toml directly into the script, which is fun because, okay, so if I go, I'm just gonna remove iris summary. We're gonna go back into here, and if I look at the Pi project, and I'm just gonna remove the requirements text because it's not accurate. We could just update it, but that's okay. This part of the toml file is what we put up here into the script. It's pretty cool. And then that runs. That is so cool. That is cool. Okay. So to make it self-contained, we're going to put the toml inside of the Python script. That is so funky. Highlighted block informs PEP 723 aware tools of the script requirements, including external dependencies. To resolve the dependencies, yeah, so interpreter alone is no longer there. We already did that. Why is it? Okay. Yeah. And then you can see it says installed 8 packages in 2.53 seconds. My computer is much slower, I guess. For whatever reason. Dataset fetched successfully, and then we have our variable summary. That's so cool. Okay. Regardless of the specific tool, the key idea of PEP 723 is to make the script self-documenting regarding its dependencies, and also to enable reproducible execution environments. So your script now uses a dedicated library for data fetching and clearly declares its dependencies, making it more robust and easier for others to run correctly. And then handling command line arguments. So this is actually very handy for sharing, right? If you're going to share this to as a gist, yeah, that's handy. Okay. Someone can just take that, run this file, and voila, they got the same setup that you do. Your script now fetches the iris dataset and summarizes its variables. Other summaries can be written into the script. However, in practice, you'll want to be able to interact with the underlying program without making changes to the code base, so you want to be able to control the flow of execution dynamically, which means passing arguments to the application. While Python's built-in argparse module can handle this, third-party libraries like Click offer a more intuitive and Pythonic way to create command line interfaces using decorators. That is so interesting because I have not used this. CLI apps. This is something that I have highlighted that I want to learn later. So using Click, you can now support the option of getting the metadata for the data set There we go. And then so from here, what we can do, just do that. So what I can do, so let me actually remove the UV part of this. UV help, can I just remove? Remove dependencies from the project. Can I just delete everything? I guess I could. I could just delete all the files that are on here. Remove hello.py. I can remove iris.zip. And now I don't have those. I can remove iProject toml. I can remove readme. I can remove uv.lock. And then I can also remove the virtual environment. Directory not empty, so I think it's force. Recursive force? Forget. I know RM recursive force I think works there. And then I can remove the Python version. And now I just have my iris summary and I can run that. Reading inline script metadata. There we go. Okay. So cool. And then so what I can do is I can have click equals 8.1.8. Is interesting. Choice there. Okay, so I don't know. Oh, right, because we need to put that onto there. There we go. And now what we're going to do before all of our other imports from third party, we're going to do the standard library pprint import pprint as pp. Okay, and then import click, and then we import that. Go there. Do we have rough formatting on? Let me see. I think, is it Control Alt F? Shift Alt F? I forget. Format. Shift Alt F. And then how do I rough format document? Yeah. Okay. I don't know why it's saying 3.12 for the Venv. Daily puzzles. That's not the one that we want. We want a different one. It's actually fine with, like, if you have UV. I guess it doesn't matter. Python 3.11 is in. Yeah, we want that one. We'll just use that one. Doesn't matter. What the fuck? I don't want Copilot. We're trying to put Copilot and everything. Now we have to, like, find an AI-free IDE or text editor with extensions. Microsoft is ruining VS Code. Used to be good. It was never great, I don't think, but it was good. Okay, so now we want to work on the command line arguments. And we're going to use click with, and you use decorators, which is interesting. Okay, have not used that now, so I don't understand fully what's going on here. But what you have to do, I guess, is use a couple of decorators. Decorate with command and with option. This is all new to me, by the way. I've done command line stuff before, but never with click. And never with these decorators. You're going to use summary, and you're going to use metadata. Metadata. Help is operation to perform variable summary. I'm wondering what this abstracts away, because I didn't think it was that bad. Display the metadata. And now our main needs to pass in an operation. Our main function needs to pass in an argument titled operation, and then we have to use that in some place here. And we're gonna touch the data set, and then before we print, we're gonna take in and handle these command line arguments here with some control flow here. Now, instead of printing, you're going to do pretty print here, and then I know later we're going to use rich. If you want the metadata, then you can print the metadata summary. pp iris dots metadata. Okay. Oh, this isn't going to be resolved because we don't actually have it installed there. That's a problem with like using these like code editors and stuff, and then using UV, I guess. It's gonna highlight that as being, not available. But like, you're gonna find it with here. I think that VS Code needs to or I think it's probably in the extensions with Pylance. I think it is Pylance. They're gonna need to add a check for whether or not the OML is included as well. When doing their check to see if this is, valid, this is available. I wonder if I could do that. I don't know. Arguments to the function are the options defined by functionality and click. Also handles parsing the arguments, providing help messages, calling your main function with the correct values, and for better output formatting, pprint is a nicer way to represent nested dictionaries and other internal structures. At this point, your code can now accept user inputs with validation, which you can use to check the metadata. So now I'm going to do the same thing before. Now it's including click and pprint, so it's installed 10 packages in faster time than it did before. But now it's running, but fetching the user set there. Now the problem with this is that it should have thrown an error. It should have thrown an error. Shouldn't it have? Because main is not... There's no operation. Operation is actually none. Oh, is it? How is it handling this? You're passing an operation. Operation is not actually being passed. Nothing's being passed. So is none being passed as a argument there? No, it can't be. It's just I'm not sure why it runs. Honestly, I'm not sure why it runs. It should throw an error. How does it run? Shouldn't it throw an error? Ooh. Somebody needs to tell me why it doesn't throw an error. Should ask this on the real Python Slack or something. Why doesn't it throw an error? Does it remember the last? Does it default? That's my suspicion. My suspicion is that it defaults. So my suspicion is that it defaults. Let's see if it comes up with the metadata then. No. Variable summary. Is it running a previously... Is it just running a previously run thing? I'm very confused. What if we do for metadata, the operation metadata? Okay, so we get that. So what if we do it like that? No. It's running variable summary. Why is that? If you pass it without... I'm very confused. Double check. You can also do it with unsupported errors, things, right? Invalid option. So if I do invalid method, but if you don't pass anything to it, I am very confused. Why do you not? Why do you not have to pass anything as an operation? Oh, because the default. Oh gosh, I completely spaced over that. There is a default. You set a default there. I guess you don't need to set that. And then if we don't set a default, let's go back to that. If you don't set a default, now it should throw an error. Dataset fetched successfully, but then that's it. It doesn't run the operation. So if operation equals summary, which it doesn't exist, so it doesn't. Right, and then, okay. That's why. There is a default. Okay. Interesting behavior. Okay. That's why, like, it helps to read, kids. All right, so that's like, so that does abstract away like some things. It just makes it a little goofy to me that like you're passing in the operation from here, and then like when you call it though, you're not passing in anything because the decorator is holding is passing that in, right? Wrapping around and then passing that into main, where you can then just call main and then this is going to wrap around and yeah, okay, that makes sense. Unsupported operations to an informative error message. By adding click, you've made your script flexible and user-friendly, allowing runtime customization through command line arguments. Now that your script effectively handles external inputs and commands, you can turn your attention inward and explore how to better represent and manage the data used within the script itself using specialized data structures. All right, so choosing appropriate data structures for scripts. Your script now fetches data based on user commands as you start processing the data. Oh, you know what? I haven't been doing the stream markers. Choosing appropriate data structures for scripts. So your script now fetches data based on user commands as you start processing that data or managing internal configurations. It's crucial to structure your code clearly for clarity and maintenance. Python offers several powerful data structures suitable for different needs within scripts. Choosing the right one involves considering factors like readability, mutability, boilerplate code, and even testing implications. Okay. Using enum for constants and options. All right, so we'll do another one there. So currently you're using the raw integer 53 for the iris dataset ID, while storing it in a constant iris dataset ID was an improvement. What if your script needed to handle multiple known datasets? So using an enumeration provides a more structured and readable way to manage such fixed sets of identifiers. You can define one for known UCI datasets using the int enum class to ensure that integers are provided to fetch UCI repo. Okay. So enum is a standard library module here, or a package or module. Enum import, and then what we can do is go down to this, and we're going to create a class. UCI dataset. It's an integer. It's an integer enumeration. And we can just call it iris. It's equal to 53. Okay. Now you're going to put that into UCI dataset is the data structure, the class, and then iris. And then you get the value from there. So by aliasing the integer with an enumeration, Your script behaves more self-documenting. Still works there, okay. And then I think if you do the metadata, that's there. Interesting. Why? Okay. Archive. There's no known archive. I guess there's like, you can have papers associated with the data set. Okay. Aliasing the integer with enumeration, your script becomes more self-documenting. You'll also be able to define the allowed values within each context. For scripts in particular, enum is excellent for mapping string or integer inputs to internal states, defining command sets, or representing any fixed category. The string in enum, introduced in Python 3.11, especially convenient when you need enum members that also behave like strings, so the iris dataset contains 4 feature columns. It's funny. Enumerate this, but as a string. Well, is it a number? Is it string? So you like, I guess like strings can be a sequence of numbers. Basically, like I think what you would do is you'd map the character to its what is it? The ASCII? I can't remember what the number is. Or the Unicode number or something like that. Because wait a minute, what is? Because if you do Unicode, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not it. I don't think it's that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Sepal length, sepal width, pedal length, and pedal width to selection of each column. They might do a string enum, so we're just goofing around with some enums here. Let's see, let's try to do string enum. And then we can do a different class, which is going to be pedal length is pedal length. Oh. I don't know why. There's an error on that one. Okay. Oh, I see. That's why. It was, yeah, I think that's what data classes is. Use the colon. I don't actually remember. Click option. Now you're going to add another to here. And this is to add another what do you call it? Another option. Just as the decorator name suggests. Open is equal to variable. Summarize. Do we have a default here? There's no default. So if you don't pass it in, there's it's not gonna pass. Okay, that kind of makes sense then. So you need to pass in both of these from there. Okay, and then if summary, operation summary, if it's summary, and then now we're gonna get into some funky nested stuff here, which I think was very advisable, but I think that's what is going to be fixed with using rich, maybe? Summary. And now we have to do something else. Data. Taking from the data, the features. And, oh, interesting. So this is actually iris.data, I think is returning... I think that's returning a pandas data frame. And then you're accessing the features. Or actually, no, it probably isn't. Oh, I'm confused then. Passing in... variable value. Interesting. I'm gonna have to see what's going on with that one. So then elsewise, all variables. Variables. Like I said, I didn't need to erase it, I just needed to move it. And then that's that for the variables. All right, so your script now decouples the handling of choices from the declaration as an enumeration, so they're no longer hard-coded. With this, you can now view a summary of a given variable name. Right, okay, so we need UV run. UV run. Iris summary. Operation is going to be summary, which we could just pass that off. You can just skip that. And I can pass sepal length. So let's see what happens when we do like sepal length. It's gonna come up with an error. Because that does not, that's an invalid value. But now if I do it with the correct enum, there's that. Interesting. Okay. Oakley dokley. Along the same lines, you can refactor the operations flag into its own structure. Enum import int enum string enum auto. What's auto?
Tell me what to say and I will say it to you.
Right there. And you're modifying the operation or default. Okay, so we are. Oh, there we go. Now you're not taking in the list, you're taking in operation class, which is an enum. Okay. Thank- so structure. There we go. My goodness. This is more in depth than I had anticipated. And so if operation is operation, so now we're going to refactor the operation rather than being in a list. Now we can separate that into that. Operation is operation.metadata. Then we do that. Okay, so using auto, so then we can test this out. UV run iris summary, and we can take in the operation metadata, and it should return the metadata, fetching it, and it gets the metadata. Now if I do something that doesn't exist, as a valid value, if I do summary, should work again. Yeah, and if I leave this off, should come back with the defaults being summary. Yes. Okay. Operation does something. Yeah. Okay. And what is auto? Like auto. What does it mean? Like that's what gets passed. Auto generate variable values without repetition. Enumerations are excellent for managing predefined choices or mappings like this. However, when you need to structure more complex information, returning by functions or generated during processing, other data structures are often more suitable. Next, you'll explore how data classes can help represent structured data records flexibly. I don't know how we're gonna utilize that, but that's okay. Let's see. Whew. All right. It is 20 minutes until noon, which is when I wanted to be stopped with this, but it does look like I'm going to have to go even further, so I might have to get another hour. Yeah. So just hunker in for this final push here. Using data class for flexible records. So when processing data or passing structured information between parts of your script, using data classes provides a great balance, features, and convenience. Data classes use type hints to define fields. Maybe I was just thinking what I should do is to do Tutorial Tuesday. It's kind of what I'm going to do. So let me see. Let me go with stream activities. What I want to do, I'm going to move this to code. Notes. Do I have notes? Where is it? Areas. Yeah, that's there. Ideas could be Tutorial Tuesday. Tutorial Tuesday. Yeah, that's a good one. That's alliteration right there. There we go. That's what we'll do. Okay, data classes use type hints to define fields automatically, generate useful methods, init and repr. Yeah. Tutorial Tuesday sounds better. I'm just thinking about that because I don't want to be stuck with Python. So I want to learn JavaScript this year. Because there's a lot of projects, Obsidian, Crosshair, that use TypeScript. And I want to learn how I can contribute to those projects. Namely Crosshair, because I think that there's a really good opportunity there to make that into a great platform. I think it's on its way. I would love to help it on its way. Help it get there faster. Okay. Make sure that I'm logging my water intake here. Something that I have not done in a while. So yeah. I can actually go into actually move this to episode. I could actually move this to a different thing. Mondays. Gotta have some alliteration. Thanks. Don't really do much on the weekends, but I thought about doing the Sunday Swarm. That was fun. Idea. Okay, so these are Python skills. Trying to figure out. Okay. Alright. Oh my gosh, okay. This is weird. I don't have any disk space. This just seems weird. It could be actually correct. You have 110 gigs available. It's weird. Alright, I think I might actually take a break. I want to push through and finish this by...
memoir that was referred to, which is called "You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train."
Yeah, I kind of want to push through and finish this by 1 o'clock. because I do need to work on the video for
And I suppose
crossword
like,
apps.
I grew up class
Um,
conscious. But as I grew up aware,
But I will take a quick break. It's going to be a little
that
bit
most
longer
people in
though.
society
Let me
work
try.
the kind of job
Try to get
I
back
worked
here.
on. There's not in a shipyard maybe, it didn't matter what they worked at, but they worked at a job that they weren't, that they had to work
Okay.
at. And they might be blue collar workers and they might be white collar
Sure.
workers. Or they
All
might
right, let's
be,
get
steel workers, or they might be advertisers,
this underway
copywriters,
here.
but they still were mostly working at jobs which
Using
alienated
data class for flexible records when processing data or passing structured information between parts of your script using data classes provides a great balance of features and convenience. Data classes use type hints
and I was aware that
to define fields and to automatically generate useful methods. Like init and repr, this significantly reduces the boilerplate code you typically write for a manual class definition when primarily storing data. Okay.
that you got as a result of this work. I never
Okay.
believed
Furthermore, you can easily add custom methods to bundle behavior with the data. For instance, you might want to calculate and store descriptive statistics such as a measure of distributional shape from the difference between the mean and median directly within the data structure. And so we're going to add to our dependency list here.
in American
Um,
society, that is, if you work hard enough, you will, as they say,
Oh, why is there three?
prosperous
One,
and
two.
successful if you work hard. If you haven't become prosperous and successful,
Weird.
it must mean you haven't worked very
Pandas 2.2.3. I don't know if that's the exact
hard all his life.
version that we need, but you know, it's helpful that
Then I saw people in society
this
who were successful,
tutorial
who were
includes the
prosperous,
exact version.
and I couldn't figure out
That way you can rerun it exactly here.
either they didn't seem to be working very hard.
I
or
should
they worked
actually
very
change
hard
this
producing terrible
to
things,
3.11.
and they were very well paid for it.
Um,
So yes,
Be in
I
keeping
was
with the-
class-conscious at an early age.
with this one here. So from data classes, import data
Doesn't
class.
appear a lot in American society. There's an attempt to it's sort of an
And
embarrassing
field.
word. Our society is not supposed to be that way.
And we need to add on to keyprint import p formats.
There are, there
Interesting. Don't know. I have not used that one yet.
Poor
But,
masses, but not America.
Import pandas then. Oh, gotta import that as PD, of course. Now we need to add some descriptive statistics for our data class. Add data class uses a decorator onto a class. Descriptive statistics. Data PD series, and yes, data class does use the colon notation there. We get a mean, median. I think we're gonna like try to format the number of decimals that we're gonna have for this, I think. And we have a class method here called post init. I guess it's something to run after the initialization. It's an instance you get the data, passing the data and a pandas series. Raise a type error. And if it's not a pandas series, right? Not type of the self.data, which I think that's the only thing we need for that. Yeah. Okay. Self.mean, we're gonna update the Oh, it's a calculated difference between the mean and median, so it's kind of a normality check. Or like, well, like one of the normality checks. Checking for skew, basically. So then we have a ring method, so oops. Yeah, there we go. Then we're going to add on to our variable check here. Summary. If operation. Is there a variable check? Okay, so printing that summary, and now interesting, we're doing print, but not PP print, not pretty print. Is it because we were pretty printing from here? P format, pretty printing there. Yeah, I am confused. Okay, we're replacing this. And we're calling descriptive statistics on that. Okay, so what does that do? Okay, iris summary. Gonna have some new dependencies to add. Even though, yeah, it shouldn't add any, actually. It's just updating that. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so that's the summary. So we're going to print descriptive statistics, variable value, variable. So otherwise, just printing all variables. So we want actually. We can just skip summary, right? So we can do metadata or variable. Variable. Yeah, that's like that. Self.median isn't defined. There's no attribute median. I mean, it should. Oh, because it's media. Typo there. Typo. There we go. Try it again. Okay, and then that runs there. Coolio Magulio. Is there going to be any discussion on what this did with the data class? So we created a class, and the data class, to abstract away some of the boilerplate, I guess. Post init. When does this run, though? I don't know when that actually runs. Does that actually run? post init. When does that run? If yeah, so I did the same thing with the sepal length. Post init method runs automatically. I thought that would be an init, wouldn't it be? I guess it's a. When is it not called? That's a good question. Master in Python. Data classes. So it's in data classes, apparently. It's just a method of that, I guess. Hash. What was it called again? Post init. An optional post init. Oh, that's right here. Let's see the question here. Without an explicit call. When does it call? By default, data class decorator generates an init method, which is the following. It accepts input arguments based on the field in the current and parent classes, initializes the attributes of self, and then it calls post init. Okay, so that's part of the init method implicitly generated by data class decorator. And so that in order to use that without overriding it, yeah. Okay. Right. So if we created an init method within this class, it would override the data class decorator, or that would be overridden by the data class generator. I don't know. I'm not sure. Decorator. Interesting. If no init method is generated, then post init will not automatically be callable. When is it generated? I don't know when that happens. Okay. I just want to move on. Actually, fits more on the screen here a little bit. Make it a little easier. Considering other structures, you may also define a full custom class. These are typically reserved for cases where object-oriented features like inheritance or complex patterns are truly needed. However, for many scripts, the requirement for brevity often means that the overhead of writing and maintaining methods like init repr can be overkill compared to using a data class for single-file scripts. Comprehensive testing might not always be part of the initial design, which can make it more difficult to justify highly complex class operations. When a function needs to return simple immutable records, or you need basic data containers with with named field access and minimal boilerplate, collections.named tuple remains a concise and efficient option. Its terse single-line definition, guaranteed immutability, low overhead, and clear name-based access make it ideal for scripting scenarios where associated methods or the features of data classes aren't required. Selecting the appropriate structure lays a solid foundation for managing data within your script with internal organization improved. Next step is to consider how your script communicates with its actions and results, moving beyond basic outputs. So we're going to improve the script feedback. And this is probably going to be using rich. And how much further do we need to go? I think improving should be near the end. All right, so we should be almost done here. Let me go back up there. Just want to move all the way back there. All right, so it has good script now has good internal structure for data representation and handling arguments, but how does it communicate what it's doing, especially during development or when things go wrong? Relying solely on Python's print function has limitations. Let's see. Okay, so it's worthwhile to explore more structured ways to provide feedback and ensure correctness using logging, assertions, and a rich library from a scripting perspective. While print works for basic output, it comes with notable limitations, especially in larger or more complex applications. It mixes outputs, status updates, debug information, and final results go through the same channel, making it hard to separate them. It has no severity levels. There's no built-in way to easily distinguish between informational messages, warnings, and critical errors. Well, yeah, you have to do a lot of extra typing, extra code to get it to do that kind of stuff. Hard to control. Turning debug messages on and off requires manually adding and removing print calls. Yeah, that's a pain. Python's built-in logging module provides a much more flexible and standard way to record events. You can configure different logging levels, including debug, info, warning, error, and critical. I think that this is sequentially in hierarchy. So critical is like the rarest of things, and then anything that's an error, anything that's critical is an error. Anything that's an error is a warning. Kind of like that kind of hierarchy, I think. It's not exactly subsets, but kind of the same idea. Direct output to files or the console in control format, and you can leverage pprint with logging using p format and otherwise replace print with logging.info for the most part. Knowing this, you can now refactor your script to incorporate basic logging as shown. Okay, so we're gonna use some more stuff here. Import logging, import system. Well, we're gonna get rid of pprint, I guess, of the pp. No more pp. Yeah, okay, so then now we're gonna have to do some logging config. Basic config, the level is logging.info. And you set a format string here with interesting, some predefined variables available to use there. Okay, so then so inside of main, we're gonna do interesting from UCI. Fetch the dataset from UCI. And iris iris equals fetch iris. We're going to call that method, and we're going to have to use that. Okay, so getting rid of those print statements and if variable, rather than the print here, we're going to do logging.info and summary is what we're doing. Just going to stretch this out a little bit just to make it easier to see. No? Maybe we can get it all the way on there. Let's see. Yeah, I guess this is better. At least I can see it on that side. I'm gonna come over here. I can still kind of see most of it. It's okay. Summary, and then instead of we're gonna do logging info and just replacing the print statement with logging.info, or just replacing print that fetch iris, and then this is going to go into a different thing. I'm just going to move this down, and I think that's going to go into our other function. I'm going to actually just find that right here and use that so that it's right there. Okay. Okay, if operation summary else, gotta replace this. Logging.info, all variables, logging .info, and then we're gonna use key format on iris variable. And then both statement and the PP state going to be in P format. So you replace PP with logging info P format. Now let's flush out fetch iris. Return the. Why does it say fetch? Fetch and print summary of the iris data set. Here.
One, two, three, four. Another day starts to end and sleeping comes my only friend. Wondering if it's okay waking up another day. Every day the same old thing. Pulls me like I'm on a string. Puts me in a real good mood, but can I pay for all this food around all the time?
Okay.
I lose my mind. I just spend every day watching my life is the way I sit around all the time.
Find this iris data. Okay. Iris data is going to be that one, and then there's accept, catching an exception. It's just kind of fair there. So if this fails, then you do that, and introduce this exit with the exit code 1, which indicates an error. Else logging down info is a iris data set fetch. Successfully. Try except else. Okay. Is that necessary? Yeah, I guess it is. Okay. Iris data. Okay. Following convention, the minimum logging level and format are set at the module levels, line 13 through 16. And mine, that's 11 through 16, or yeah, 13 through 16. Okay. Data fetching logic is moved to a dedicated function, fetch iris, which handles logging severity along with fatal error abortions through assist.exit. For potentially larger nested data like the dataset metadata, p-format is used within logging.info to generate a multi-line formatted string suitable for logging. Now, instead of a raw print output, their script generates timestamped logs categorized by severity level. So try running again. The same thing before. Summary. And there we go. We get the same output there as before, except now we have time and date stamp, along with a little info tag on the message that is provided here. And it's now ready to generate configurable status output with messages tagged by severity and verbosity, both of which can be controlled by a user-defined parameter such as command line argument or an environment variable. With structured logging handling the script's communication about its progress and runtime events, you might also want ways to verify internal assumptions during the development. While logging reports on what happened, sometimes you need checks to ensure the script's state is exactly what you expect it to be before proceeding. Python's assert statement is designed for exactly this kind of internal sanity check. Adding internal checks with assert. Okay. Sometimes during development, you want to add checks to ensure the script's internal state is as expected. And the assert statement is perfect for this. It takes in a condition and an optional message. If the condition is false, then it raises an assertion error with the message. Otherwise, the script continues executing normally, and then asserts are primarily debugging aids for the developer. They're not intended to handle expected user errors like invalid user input, which click can handle, or file not found exceptions, which should be caught with try except. Instead, they verify your own assumptions about the code state. A key feature of assertions is that they can be disabled globally if Python is run with the -o optimize flag, as in Python-o iris summary, meaning they have no performance impact in optimized runs. Interesting. For your script, you can add a simple assertion after fetching the data to ensure the returned object looks correct. Okay, so inside our try block here, we have assert that the data in iris data.key. So this is interesting because this is only for fetching the iris thing. It's not for any other. It's weird. Okay. Thought we were going to be generalizing, but it's not generalizing really at all. Doesn't have expected structure, and then the exception there is going to be in the there. And if later versions of the repo change the internal structure, then the script will raise an informative error on being critical. Right. Failed to correctly fetch. Right, okay. Signals to a developer that an internal assumption has been violated. I have been violated. Enhancing output with rich. While logging handles status and debug messages, you often want the final output to be presented clearly and attractively to the user. The rich library is fantastic for creating beautiful terminal output across different operating systems, with colors, tables, markdown, progress bars, and more. You can also use it to override the default handler for loggers and exceptions. So let's go ahead and add that to our dependency list. And 14.0.0. I think this is a relatively new, so I think this is up to date. In any event, it should end up looking the same as this here. So from rich.logging, import rich handler. That'll handle them riches. And in the basic config for logging, we want to add a handlers variable. Rich handler rich 3 stacks. We're not actually adding a variable, we're just setting that parameter. Yeah, because we're calling the basic config constructor method or whatever the heck it is. Now the date and time are handled by rich handler. This leads to much cleaner output. So if we do the same thing, we don't have to add anything else. Let's try that. Oh, I didn't add a comma. No comma. No comma. Now we gotta add markdown.it by pigments and rich. Okay. Got some dependencies to add. We can also take a look at that dependency tree now because it's going to be quite large. Takes a while now to run. And we do get some nice colors in the output here. Pretty fun. So let's do UV. What was that again? It was UV. Oh, conversion's good there. Is there a way to update UV? I probably do need to update. How do you update UV? That's a good question. I'm gonna do that afterwards. Generate shell completion. What is that? Cache tree. Not 2, not 4. Oh, it's not found in there, so you actually need to create that. Okay, yeah, right. That's funny. Okay, wait a minute. So it didn't actually do the thing for me. Sepal length summary didn't come up. Did I miss something here? Logging info, sepal length summary. I think that's what happened. No, it should be there. Sepal length summary. But then it doesn't show that like neat little table there. That's weird. I don't know what's going on with that. I bet that this was supposed to go down here. I think they were missing something. Handle printing, you can then use specific rich objects like table. That's it. That's what's missing. They got ahead of themselves there. From rich console imports console, and then from rich table import table. Here we go. Main operation, if operation is there, so we're gonna do if variable. Interesting. Wait a minute. Okay, table. Generate a table. Oh, we have to create that method too. And then console.print table. Now, we're not doing this stuff? We're getting rid of all that other stuff? I'm kind of confused. We're getting rid of all of this logging? I don't understand why we would. But we do need to put this after fetch to define generate table. A formatted table. Descriptive variable. Okay. Column is equal to iris variable. And picking the variable and getting the value. That is descriptive statistics data set. Data features, and we pass in the column. And table is the table. Title. Column. Ooh. Oh boy. Okay, table. Add column. I think we've run away from the idea that this is going to be generalizable, because this seems very specific to the iris data set now. So all that work with the enums and stuff kind of moot. If they're going to talk about that. Okay. So you add columns, you add rows. Probably in order to doing that. Probably can't add a row before you have a column, maybe. Alright, so then if I run this now. Console's not defined. Did I mean console? Which line is that? Line number 4. Oh no, because I didn't define, I didn't instantiate that. Okay, so there we go. Okay, but there's no table for that one. Maybe it's just for all variables, maybe? Where does the table come in? If you have the variable, we're gonna print the table, but I don't see a table. I don't see a table. weird. I don't see it. Encapsulates the creation of the formatted rich.table object populated with statistics. Yeah, I don't get that. It's probably just something with the terminal output here. Some incompatibility. Yeah, I don't get this at all. Ooh. Yeah, so weird. So it shouldn't just be Iris, it should be the data set. I don't know why they show specifically. Oh, because you had to actually pass an Iris variable there. Yeah, whatever. Fancy color code, so combine logging with rich rendered output. You need a helper function to strip out ANSI color codes. Standard logging library can only handle plain strings. Console text. Down in the main method. Oh, wait a minute, why you get rid of that console thing now? I'm very confused at this. Wait, what am I missing here? Main operation there, I had console in there, and now we're getting rid of that? Yeah, I think that's just an oversight, I guess. So weird. But now it's missing, now it's gone? I would get rid of that table. Okay, I guess we get rid of this part. We're not using a console, we're using something else. Console with logging info. There's only three. Oh, there is three things. Okay. Reach for log, and then we're gonna have to create that function. Then, like, they're saying that you're adding all this other stuff, but that was already there. Where to have that stuff there? Somebody ran out of time when editing this article for the deadline. Now we instantiate the console. With there, okay. Maybe we'll see this in the what should we call it? The VS Code terminal. Let's see if this works. Oh boy, okay, so there's an error there. Weird. Capture.get is not okay. Go. Still don't see any table. I don't understand this. It's not showing up with a table. Yeah, I don't know. Print the table to a separate console object to generate the plain text representation for the log. This kind of log is often better suited for more complex scenarios than simple scripts, and often the user experience is of primary importance, to the point that it's acceptable to use console.print throughout. The main function of the script logging details should be delegated to other functions, like the iris fetch iris helper. By incorporating logging search statements in libraries like Rich, you can make your scripts more robust during development and provide much clearer, more helpful feedback during execution. All right, so let's wrap it up here with this last section. Following Python script structure recommendations. So based on the structures and techniques that we've learned about, here are a few recommendations to keep in mind when we are writing Python scripts. So strive for brevity and clarity, leverage argument parsing for input validation, embrace self-contained dependencies, and choose data structures wisely. So for brevity and clarity, scripts often benefit from being direct. Use clear names for constants, functions, and variables, while functions and classes help organize your code. Avoid overly deep nesting or abstraction if simpler linear code within the main block is easier to follow for a specific task. Leverage argument parsing for input validation. Tools like Click are excellent, not just for defining arguments, but also for validating user input at the boundary of your script. For example, using click.choice or type int. Handling input validation here often reduces the need for extensive try except blocks that check types or values deep within your core logic functions, keeping them cleaner. For scripts intended to share, PEP 723 is invaluable. That was the including TOML into the top of your script there, so that you can run UV on it and other tools that parse that. Yeah, declaring dependencies within the script file makes it reproducible and much easier for others and your future self to run correctly using tools like UV or pipx. Choose data structures wisely. Select the simplest structure that meets your needs for clarity and maintainability. Yeah, I don't know. Here's a quick reference table comparing common data structures in a script context. It summarizes when each one is most appropriate based on your script's complexity and goals. Okay, so structure enums represent fixed sets of choices, states, modes, and mapping inputs, so used for clarity, and type safety over raw strings or integers for predefined choices. And so collections, named tuple, simple immutable data bundles, function return values, named access with low overhead. So use these for concise fixed records where immutability is paramount, and flexible data records for data classes. So, you know, with typing, less boilerplate, easy method addition, used as a great default for most structured data, balances features, readability, and ease. Class custom, complex state behavior, inheritance patterns, full OOP control. You use this when full object-oriented programming power is necessary. Consider verbosity and testing needs. For the level of complexity in your script, data classes and enumerations offer the most suitable combination of structure and simplicity. And to put it all together, the final script is below. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to like copy this and I'm going to put it in as a That's a new thing. So touch, let's call it, RP iris summary.py. And actually, we'll just do code. Type annotations in my code. Would you like to change the setting? Oh, sure. Yeah, do that. So we'll do that. Come on, maybe save it. Save what I just copied. What the heck? Okay, so we're gonna do this, and then what I'm gonna do is to run RP. Maybe there was something I missed. I don't know. There's just like, it's not showing up with a table or anything. Yeah, there is a table there. There's something I missed. I'm gonna actually run it from over here. Okay, there it is. I don't know what I was missing. I must have missed something. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna go over that offline. Okay, so as we can see, applying key structuring concepts and feedback transforms a simple task into a well-structured program. This approach makes your scripts significantly easy to understand, modify, and share. So note that in this final version, the primary output within main uses console.print. Logging is primarily handled in helper functions. Avoids the need to convert the rich table for logging within main, while the assert statement was demonstrated earlier. It's often removed or refined in final scripts unless verifying critical invariant variants. Alright, congrats. We have now a solid understanding of how to structure your Python scripts effectively. I have a decent understanding now. I definitely need to practice these things. Moving beyond simple top-down execution to create more organized, readable, maintainable, and shareable code. There's a lot of different parts to this, and I don't know. I don't know what. They have 131 lines. I probably have more. No, I have 131 lines. I don't know. I missed refactoring something, I guess. So we learned how to organize our scripts with standard import groupings and meaningful constants. We defined a clear script entry point using name, is equal to main to control execution. We made scripts directly executable on Unix-like systems with a shebang. Make scripts self-contained. So I think like these ones, I was already doing the second one. Import groupings and meaningful constants, I feel like I have a good handle on that. Scripts directly, did learn about the shebang, about what that does actually, and so that was a good one to have on there. Self-contained, managing dependencies directly within the file, that was really cool. I like that. We built flexible command line interfaces using decorators with click. I still need to go over that. I don't have a solid handle on what that's doing. Would definitely need to practice that a lot. Improve script feedback and debugging with logging assert, and enhance terminal output with rich. Logging's pretty straightforward. I've used that before. I don't use rich that much. I could try to incorporate that more and practice that a lot more. And these assert statements too. I don't really use those outside of like PyTest and other libraries there. Continuously applying these structural principles and quality practices will help you write Python scripts that aren't just functional but also robust and professional, and so heavy scripting, right? Okay. I will market this as completed. It was a decent one, very in-depth. There's no comments. Great tutorial. One of the more frustrating things has been the lack of thunder between two word names in the code sections that are not dot names. I don't understand what you're saying. I think you're missing something there. Yeah, always append real Python in front of your Google searches when you're searching for Python. Nobody writes better comprehensive Python guides. Yeah. Best practices. Yes, this is like real Python is for the best practices and up-to-date information. Been doing Python for 10 years, and every time I read a real Python article, I learn something that completely changes how I work. Even in the most fundamental topics. Yeah, that's yeah, definitely agree with that. Why I'm logged in, am I not? Oh, but I'm not logged into Discus. Okay, whatever. Oh, come on. Okay. Really? What the heck? Oh, it keeps trying to automatically go. Oh well, I'm gonna whatever. Okay. So yeah, this is what I'm gonna be doing on Tuesday. So we'll call this Tutorial Tuesday, and we'll do a tutorial Tuesday mornings, and yeah, I'm gonna have to schedule out what I want to do, because next week I think I kind of want to do because we're gonna have to do some kind of project work or something, like FOSS Friday or something like that. That would be fun. FOSS Friday sounds good. Let's work on free and open source software on Friday. We'll call that FOSS Friday, and then that will guide the topics that you learn on tutorials. So, thank you for checking out this channel. Please, leave your comments, and yeah, let me know what you're working on as far as like open source software, and or what you do in your job coding. Yeah, that's about it. So until next week, that's all for now. So thanks for watching.